Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with Ben Spector from Zomentum. Good morning, good afternoon, Ben. I don't even know. Is it morning or afternoon for you?
I was about to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's virtually the evening. It's 5 p.m. here, just outside London, cold, wet London in the UK.
Okay, so it's wet, cold, and rainy for you today, huh?
Yeah, it's a really miserable day.
All right, well.
We get used to that. It's February in London. Like, it's what you expect.
Well, the temperature is all over the board here in South Carolina. It is 71. I think we're supposed to hit close to 80, but it's supposed to be overcast all week. So no, not really a whole lot of sunshine. So Ben, thank you so much for agreeing to do another demo with us here with Zomentum. I know that the last one we've done has been a while, so this will be exciting. I think there's been a lot of new changes to the Zomentum platform. What would you say is the biggest change in the past year to the Zomentum platform?
Yeah, I mean, I think since we last did one of these demo sessions for the ITBOG community, it was probably a year and a half ago.
Okay.
The platform's virtually unrecognizable since then. So yeah, we've had, I think our sales team have had a lot of questions off the back of the previous video saying, hey, does it do this? Does it do that? It looked like it's missing. And a lot of those things have changed now. So
Gotcha.
let's get a fresh one up there.
Well, exciting news. Zomentum seems to be the premier quoting tool for MSPs. We hear all kind of good things about Zomentum. So I'm excited to see what's new under the hood this year.
Sure. Yeah, what do you want me to do? So share screen and we'll.
Yeah, we can get started if you want. We can dive right on in.
Sure. I've got a few things to show.
Okay.
And then subject to legal clearance, which I don't really care about. I'm going to try and give a brief intro to something really cool that's coming coming later. Actually, should be releasing in the next couple of weeks. So we'll touch on that at the end.
It does look different. The whole dashboard looks different.
Yeah, a lot's changed, a lot's cleaner. It's much more streamlined. We've done a ton of work on all the integrations in terms of both the marketing integrations and the PSA integrations. It might be worth, I guess, just touching on what integrations are currently available. Sure. So from a marketing perspective, or marketing and sales, we've got Infusionsoft by Keep, but also now HubSpot. I can't remember if HubSpot was there the last time. And then from the PSAs, we've also added Halo PSA in the last few months, which I think has been seeing massive adoption in the channel.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people moving over to Halo.
Yeah, I mean, not what we were planning to talk about today, but I think it's high time a young, cocky startup. Well, they're not even a startup, but a new player to the market knocks the legacy ones off their little boxes, and it sounds like Halo have done that. So we're really excited to have that Halo integration. We've got hundreds of partners that use that already. So between the marketing integrations and the PSA integrations, the benefit there is that Zomentum can kind of sit between the two. So if you're using something like HubSpot or Infusionsoft to do your marketing automation, they're going to take you from the very top of the funnel down to the point at which the prospect put their hand in the air and said, I'm ready to have a conversation. But that's where marketing ends. That's the point at which perhaps marketing team would create a deal and pass that across to the sales team to run forwards with. And so when you create a deal in your marketing tool, then Zomentum's going to pick up the company, the contact, and the opportunity. You can then run through the sales process in Zomentum. They put their hand in the air and said, I'm ready to have a conversation, but what is the conversation about? Like, what problems are they trying to solve? What is it that our proposal actually needs to get to be compelling for that prospect?
The discovery.
It effectively the discovery or the sort of the sales assessment stage. So Zomentum picks up from there, helps take you through the assessment, helps you build your quote and proposal, goes through the negotiation, manage that entire process right up to the point at which you've got signed contracts, deposits paid, and it's a one opportunity. At which point, if you've then got a PSA integrated, all of that that basket of information's being passed across to the PSA, so that in the PSA you can then go through the billing processes, the ticket processes, any project onboarding, all of the onward processes that the PSA has handled.
Very nice.
And then, so in addition to the marketing and PSA integrations, we've got a handful of distributor integrations. Natively integrated, we've got Ingram, Tech Data, DNH, Synex. I mean, Tech Data and Synex have done this really confusing merge to create TD Synex, but the APIs are still separate. Doesn't surprise me at all. And then we've got Dicker Data for the Australians and New Zealanders, and West Coast, which I think is quite specific for the UK.
Okay.
So because my sandbox is in the UK, I've got Ingram UK, Tech Data UK, and West Coast UK integrated.
Okay, nice.
Another massive change, which was only released in the last couple of months, is the custom distributor data feed capability. So if you have any distributor that provides some kind of data feed, and I use some kind of data feed in the loosest possible sense, because we can then use, just get to the next screen. We can then either pull or take a push feed from that distributor. So if they provide, could be a CSV file on an FTP server, it could be an XML file at the end of a URL in your browser. They might require you to spin up an FTP server that they push the data feed to. Like there's so many, I'd love to say legacy ways the big old school distributors provide those data feeds, but they're not legacy way, like they're still most definitely being used.
Okay.
So if we try the push method, for example, we create this SFTP server with a username and password. You give those to your distributor. The distributor pushes the data feed onto the server, and Zomentum digests it from there.
Okay.
It might be that the distributor pushes it to an API endpoint. So we provide that API endpoint. They can push the CSV or XML or whatever file it is. Or you can just manually upload a data feed. I
Just choose
doubt
a
many
file.
people. Yeah, if it doesn't change that often, there's no real problem with doing that. But with these FTP methods, normally the distributors update them several times a day, and as soon as we get that new file, we're going to digest it and update all the pricing.
Very nice.
And
So
then
it's
in
very
terms,
easy. It's very easy to
yeah,
get the data from the distributor into the Zomentum platform.
absolutely, yes. And then we're leveraging the Utilize integration, which is the product catalog, to then, you first of all, you'd search the product catalog for example, a Dell Latitude 5000. Utilize returns a load of parts relevant to your region of the world. We then send those part codes to the distributors, either the integrated distributors or custom distributor feeds, to get the latest stock and pricing for those parts.
Nice.
So that's the integrations. A little bit longer than I was expecting to spend on that, but hopefully useful. We then go back to the main screen in Zomentum is this Kanban view of opportunities. You can customize what your pipeline looks like. So each of these columns represents a stage in the sales pipeline. The stages you set up here would mirror what you have in your PSA or in your marketing tool. So if you've got, let's say, HubSpot, Zomentum, and Autotask all lined up, you'd have the same opportunity stages across all three. So if you're managing the opportunities in Zomentum, those changes are getting pushed to both the other systems as well.
Okay, very nice.
So they're moving things around as easy as drag and dropping between stages. If we then open up one of the opportunities, I actually grabbed this opportunity, was the one we did from the last demo back in 2021, was still sitting in my CRM. We then have everything you'd expect from a CRM. And I think this is where it's really important to distinguish between what I would call the old school quoting tools, things like QuoteWorks, Quota, Datto Commerce, ConnectWise Sell. There are loads of them out there, but there's nothing particularly innovative. They literally just create a quote, push it into the PSA. And I think it's really important to understand that Zomentum puts an entire CRM around that experience as well as a document builder. So you can actually create a compelling proposal, manage it all the way through its life cycle, and have it pushed into the PSA. Yeah, I think anyone still clinging on to old school quoting tools and thinking that what's going to win them business is a line, an A4 page of line items,
Right.
that just doesn't cut it anymore. You need to be sending compelling proposals to your prospect if you want to win the business.
Makes sense.
So CRM view, we can capture notes, we can create tasks and meetings. That's all going to be synced with your Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace email and calendar. So if you send emails to a prospect from Outlook, you're going to see them appear in Zomentum and vice versa. When we're on the opportunities screen, we can create documents from here. Documents are the umbrella term for quotes, proposals, contracts, assessments, QBRs.
Okay.
And so maybe let's go through the process of actually building a quote or a proposal quite quickly.
All right.
I think what I'd like to really demonstrate is that you can go from creating your opportunity right through to actually sending a proposal within a few minutes.
Nice.
First thing you need to choose is the document type. The document type helps you to determine what the following sales process is going to look like. So if you've built out automations within Zomentum, you might target those automations to specific document types. For example, every time a proposal moves to one, automatically create an MSA and send it to the new client for signature. But
Okay.
you don't want to send them a full managed services agreement every time they accept a quote for a new monitor, for example.
Right.
So you might use the document types for that. We also definitely knew since the last time we did one of these demos, the order form. Order forms can be published either specific to an individual client or completely generic. If it's specific, good use cases here might be if you've got one particular client that always, when they have a new employee onboarding, has a choice of 3 different laptops, a low, a medium, and a high spec, a specific monitor they always use, a specific set of keyboard and mouse, some specific licensing, but it's very specific to that client. You might create an order form with the items that they're likely to need whenever a new employee is onboarding. You can send them the URL for that order form. Every time they accept, they can choose which bits they need. Every time they accept it, it's going to create an opportunity and a quote within Zomentum with the specific items they've chosen.
Very good.
And then, sorry, for the generic order form, good use case might be something like VoIP systems. If you want a very straightforward way of sending that pricing and information to clients, you could build an order form around the VoIP system that has, per user, the hardware they're going to need, any other installation services, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then with the generic one, when the prospect or the client's accepting it, they'll be asked for contact details because it's not pre-linked to a specific client. You could send that URL to anyone. When they fill in the details and place the order, it's going to create the opportunity in the quote specific to what they've requested within Zomentum. And then obviously that quote's going to be pushed to your PSA if you're using a PSA.
Very nice.
So if we just go through the process, creating a proposal, the client here is Ben's Test Company 2. We're going to choose Akshay as the user receiving it. Probably spot a little bit of dummy data, to say the least, in my 2-year-old sandbox by this point. If we wanted to upload an existing Word document or PDF to start the foundations of that proposal, we could do that. I think we've got a handful of users that maybe design stuff in some other platform for whatever reason, or their graphic designers put things together for them, but they want to upload it and then put the quote information within that. You can use that feature. I'm pretty sure that wasn't there when we last demoed as well.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
No, I keep stumbling into new things. You release things and move on to the next one. It's quite easy to forget what's been released. Just having a look at the proposal templates, the preview window here is a little bit messed up on my monitor resolution for some reason. But we've got a load of preloaded templates for various different types of proposals, as well as different types of contracts and quotes. We've got a special agreement in place with the Tech Tribe that allows us to provide most of their templates within the platform. So if you go to contracts, for example, have a look at the global templates here. We've got the Tech Tribe's MSA for the UK, their MSA for the US, their terms and conditions. Just a really useful way if you're a member of that community to quickly and easily get up and running on the platform.
Perfect.
So I'm going to start just with a network management proposal document. Obviously, you can take the templates that are provided on the system, clone them out, and edit them to your own requirements, or you could start with something completely blank. Again, providing those templates is just a way to help people get up and running as quickly as possible on the platform. So within the document editor, it is a full document editor experience, which again is not something that most of the sort of old school quoting tools would have. So it is more like using something like Google Docs or Microsoft Word to edit your document. You can easily drag and drop images onto your document. Everything's very sort of block based, so you can move sections around, and really easy to customize. The key bit though, pricing information. If someone's looking for a quoting tool, the most important bit is going to be how do they get the pricing in there, and then making sure that it's going to sync to the PSA. So we've got the quote block that appears within the document. You can have multiple quote blocks on a document. If you were breaking your proposal into sections, like the upfront installation and onboarding, and then the managed services, and then maybe some optional services at the end, you could have several quote blocks throughout your document to achieve that. I think though, if we just create a quick quote, put on maybe a small project, some managed services, we'll find a laptop from the distributors, and maybe some peripheral. So we go to add a product. We've got a couple of different product catalogs available to us. Most of the time, we're either going to use the self catalog, which is your own products and services. Those are obviously synced from your PSA. But you can also create and manage products directly in Zomentum, or the utilized catalog, which is that global search engine for IT hardware. Okay. So if we start with the self catalog, I'm just going to add a consulting project here, for example. So it's Google Workspace security implementation. We're going to charge just under £2,000 for that. I then perhaps want to add a section for this. So up top, we've got project work, try and type, can't type. Then we're going to have our managed services, and then we'll create a section for additional hardware. So if we add products for the managed services, I'm assuming I've got something for support. Support goal plan, that will do. This is my sandbox. I think I haven't got a tax category on it yet. And managed services, and we're also going to put an email security license. I saw that was top of my list. That'll do. You wouldn't normally need to go through this additional step to fill in the tax category, because I've got so much junk data in here. There's no default there. But we've got this managed service, which includes a 365 business standard license. We've got the email security, and then in terms of additional hardware, we're going to provide some kind of Dell laptop. So for this example, if we're looking for a Dell Latitude, I think it's the 5000, for example. This is going to search that global utilized product catalog, return valid results that we'll then send off to the distributors for pricing. I may have pre-selected to only show stuff that's in stock. Yeah, so there's options here to limit only to what's available from your distributors, but also you can choose to exclude out of stock. And if you're in the US, where a lot of stuff comes from dropship warehouses specifically, if you don't want stuff to come from their dropship warehouse, you can select that as well.
That's so nice. It pulls only what's current, what's available. No sense in going through things that aren't available, you know, especially when you're trying to quote something out.
I'd say doing demos of this a year ago when there was no hardware available, you do that search for Dell Latitude 5000 and it looked like the system was broken because nothing came back.
Gotcha.
But here, apologies to all the Americans, but my account is in GBP. Here we've returned some actual results that are available. This shows us the stock number that they have in stock, but we also show then for some of the distributors, they'll show, for example, 500 in stock, but 200 on order. So we'll show the current stock / the on order stock. I think most of the UK distributors, here's an example. So Ingram, for this specific laptop, they've got 230 in stock, but they've also got 200 on back order.
Okay, nice.
And then we'll show, because I've got all 3 distributors integrated, it's automatically picked the lowest price, but you can also see the price in stock with the other distributors that you've got connected. So if we go to take this laptop from Ingram, it's going to ask me for that damn tax code again. I'm just going to update. We've then got the hardware on the quote. When it comes to any of these sections, you can determine whether things are mandatory or optional. So with the hardware, for example, we might say that all products are optional. So when we send this to the customer, they're going to have a checkbox to be able to choose whether they want it or not. If we were offering 2 laptop options here, we might actually want to say that only allow 1 choice. And then you're going to have radio buttons. So they have to choose either the low spec one or the high spec one, but they can't take both.
Okay.
We can also allow them to edit the quantity, and we can set quantity limitations. So if I know that Ingram have only got 20 in stock, for example, I might want to ensure that they don't buy more than 15 when they accept the quote, so that in case Ingram doesn't have it. But also, if we look at the managed services, for example, we might want them to let them choose how many users they've got, but we as a business don't accept clients with less than 10 users. So we might want to set a minimum quantity of 10. They can go above 10, they can't go below. For the laptop, they can go up to 15, but they can't go beyond. So you can be really granular about what's allowed, but you can also give the client the opportunity to make their own decisions to some extent.
Very good.
Any sort of questions? Do you know if we've got any comments or questions from
I do not see anything just yet.
Okay. And you can probably hear a squeaking in the background, which is my 8-month-old golden retriever puppy.
Oh, how awesome.
Chewing on his little teddy.
What's his name?
Pickle.
Pickle. Okay.
Pickle.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so we've put together a quote. We've also then got built-in e-signatures. So in this example, we want the internal user to sign the document, but we also then want the client user to sign the document. So when we then go to send this document, generate. So I don't have a job title set up for Akshay, but I'm quite happy for it to just leave that blank. And so we've then got the opportunity to send the document from within Zomentum. We can set up templates here for email templates. So if you've got the same kind of boilerplate language you use as covering email, whenever you send a proposal, you could set up a series of templates here. So you might have a template that you always use the same email for project proposals and managed services proposals. Really useful for helping keep sales reps in line and ensuring they follow the right processes.
Okay.
So the documents are always coming from a template. The products and services are coming from your curated catalog. You can ensure that their starting point for the emails they send are coming from templates. So you can help to really narrow down a repeatable, controllable sales process.
Okay.
So if I were to then send this to Akshay's email, he would get a notification along with the covering email. He can then go to view the document and sign it off. Rather than wait for it to get delivered, I'm just going to grab the share link for this document. So if you wanted to share it in a different way, rather than sending it directly from the Zomentum platform, for example, if you've got a ticket open in Autotask, your quote is specifically to resolve that ticket, like it's a new monitor for a user whose monitor is broken, you might want to send this from the ticket rather than sending it directly from Zomentum.
Okay.
So you could grab the share URL. I'm conscious I've just jumped into another window.
Just put that in the ticket, right?
Yeah, and then copy that link to the ticket.
Okay.
I'm just going to an incognito window so that it's not logged in, hoping that's sharing. So
we can kind of see it.
Yeah. So this is the document, and slightly messed up resolution on my screen. This document, because we had me as the signatory before Akshay, it's saying that Ben Spector needs to sign it first. I'm just going to change the order of the signatories on the other screen. Sorry, is that still sharing okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, so if I just refresh that. So this time, because Akshay is now the first signatory, they've got the sign document button. It's then going to take them through a standard sort of e-sign process, as I'm sure most people are used to these days.
Kind of like Adobe Sign or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's built into Zomentum.
Exactly. It actually uses a platform called Sign Request, which is a third-party audited signature platform. So if you're using DocuSign or something like that alongside your existing processes, that's another tool that you can cut out of that process.
Awesome.
So then Akshay is going to go ahead and sign the document and then finalize it. I don't think there were any options left to choose. No. So then the next signatory is going to get a link to then sign it. So in this case, because Ben Spector needed to sign it after Akshay, Ben's then going to get an email to go through the same signature process.
Wait, I thought you were signing it first.
No, I changed the order.
Oh,
so
okay.
The screen I had up was the one I could use. I'm just going to share the right screen again. Too many screens. Cool. Yeah, so this is the window I was talking about when I was changing the order of the signatories.
Gotcha.
So I mean, that's the sort of the end-to-end proposal process. Once everything's returned and signed, I'm then probably going to move that to the one stage.
And so each one of these columns we're looking at here is a different opportunity.
No, each column is a stage. Each of the cards is an opportunity within that stage.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I gotcha.
So if we had 12 opportunities in the quote stage, you'd see 12 cards down in that column.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I think perhaps a little interesting point here, I don't know if you noticed, but the opportunity we were working on actually already had a number of documents on it.
Okay.
So, which was in fact from our last demo. So if you have gone through several iterations of the quote, when you actually move the opportunity to one, you can choose specifically which of those documents was one. and then update it. And that one document, in the case of Autotask and ConnectWise, for example, they only support one quote actually being one. So you could have several quotes, but only one of them can be one. So you need to be able to set which one needs to be pushed to the PSA.
Got it. Okay.
That's sort of the end-to-end quoting process. Any sort of questions or think anything you feel we've missed off there?
No, not at all. It's very clean, very easy to understand. I like it. I can tell y'all done a lot of work in the last year on the platform completely.
So the next thing I wanted to just touch on was sales automation. I mentioned earlier that you might want to drive automations, for example, every time a proposal is won, send out an MSA. So we've got this automations engine. It's all based on triggers and actions. Just trying to find one that's useful to start with. Create MSA when document one, if not previously signed. So here's one I was working on for a specific customer actually to help demonstrate something. So here we wanted to create an MSA whenever a document gets won, if no MSA has been signed in the past. So for most users with PSA, they'll be used to the concept of workflows and automations. Here, my trigger is when the document is updated. We wanted to filter it on certain things, for example, to say that it only triggers when the status has changed to one and when the type is a proposal, but also when the client's MSA signed field is empty. I have another automation that when an MSA gets signed, it fills in that field. So we only want to fire this if they haven't previously signed one. This was quite a complicated example. The actions then are going to be to create the document from a specific template. So we want to use my MSA template, create that document, and then send that document as well. So we can completely automate that process. But you could also have much more straightforward automations. For example, when a document gets sent, move the opportunity to the proposal sent stage, or when a document gets signed, move the opportunity to the one stage. Yeah, you can do quite a lot there. There's some quite interesting hacky approaches I've seen in the past as well, like where the MSP wants to send the signed PDF to their ticketing system. So they might use an automation to say that when the document gets won, send a copy to support@itbog.org, so that it raises a ticket with that signed document so that the service team can get on with their work. And that's probably kind of everything I wanted to have a look at on this demo. I don't know, I'm guessing we still don't have any questions.
Not right now.
No. Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to have a look at in particular?
No, I just wanted a new overview of the many things that y'all have worked on in the past year, and like I said, to update the demo. So this is perfect. What is probably the number one aspect of the platform that you see MSPs using?
It's good question. It's going to be the quote and proposal builder. You know, most people come to Zomentum looking for a quoting tool. As much as that pains me, because it is so much more than a quoting tool.
It is.
You know, what problem are people trying to solve? They're trying to send out better proposals and they're trying to track their sales process.
Better proposals and faster. They're so time consuming. Yes. It's just a time suck. So
doesn't have to be.
I know. No, it doesn't. With Zomentum, it absolutely does not. So that's perfect.
Oh, well, I guess that last thing I was going to touch on in terms of new releases. This is in our staging environment at the moment. The final UI is going to be slightly different on it. But we're introducing an OpenAI, so Chat GPT integration within the document builder.
So how will that work?
So here, I'd instructed it to write an introduction paragraph for why a small business needs an IT MSP to look after their systems. And then obviously ChatGPT has come back with the response, which I've then included within my proposal. So, I don't know, like write a paragraph introducing, can't type, write a paragraph introducing a Microsoft, or introducing the benefits of Microsoft 365. There we go. Gosh, I really can't type. Cool. And then send that request. Give ChatGPT some thinking time.
That's just amazing. And that is not
Here we go. So then we can take,
that's
there's
not
going to be,
plagiarized.
no, technically it's not. It's definitely not your own words, but it's not plagiarized. There's going to be here. I'm just doing a bit of an ugly copy and paste on it.
Yeah.
There is going to be a really nice way of moving it directly onto the proposal template. We're hoping to have this out within the next couple of weeks. I've been promised it by the end of February. But for example, if we pop a new text block on the document, this section is going to be about Microsoft 365. So just popping a heading, where are we? Heading 1. And then that was the introduction that just got written by ChatGPT.
I gotcha.
It can be made context aware. So if you need to use it to refine your instruction set slightly, you refine it until you've got something you're happy with. But I think, just bear in mind, this is really, really early preview. What actually gets released is going to be a much more interesting experience than this.
Well, no, I think that's
awesome.
awesome. That's really an awesome addition to the platform. Because when you're typing out a proposal, you got to sit there and think, what does my customer or the person getting the proposal want to hear from me? And sometimes you just got to sit there and figure it out and look it up. So if Chat GPT will go in and automate that process for you, man, that's a huge time saver.
Well, yeah, time, but also I think, as you mentioned, the imagination, like sitting there with a blank piece of paper, needing to write a proposal it's tough. It's a tough place to start from. So if we can introduce some AI capabilities there to help with that process, I'm really excited to get that released.
Me too. I think that's awesome. So what is the next major, other than the Chat GPT, what is the next major thing that Zomentum is going to integrate, or would you say that Chat GPT is the next biggest thing for you?
As of today, it probably is the next biggest thing.
Okay.
But in a couple of weeks, that will hopefully be yesterday's news.
Okay.
We're also doing an enormous amount of work around bringing together partners and vendors. Zomentum has released a partner management solution that we have a large number of vendors who are starting to use. As part of those agreements, typically those vendors get to offer the partner side of Zomentum, the bit we've looked at today, to their partners. They can then do kind of deal registration and deal sharing between the two halves. Vendors can provide their products and services directly to the partners. Partners can add to their proposals content that's been sort of pre-provided by those vendors. So if you were trying to sell a particular MDR, the antivirus security solution, that vendor will have been able to provide a load of pre-written templates, various chunks of text to sort of help sell those solutions, the images, the product catalog, all in a way that the partner can just go ahead and put it straight on a proposal. So
that is nice.
Yeah, my experience, I used to run an MSP for 10 years that I sold a couple of years ago. And my experience of working with vendors typically involved having to log into their partner management system. Maybe it was on Salesforce or some other really clunky place to go and get sales enablement materials, if I was looking for a product sheet, if I was looking for some help with a marketing campaign. And if I was working with 20 vendors, that's 20 partner portals to try and navigate. If you've got 10 employees, you then need to get 10 employees access to 20 different partner portals. You've got to train those employees to know which partner portal to go to find which product sheets, and like, it's just insane. The whole model is insane. And so we're bringing that partner management to Zomentum so that the vendors can work much more closely with the partners, and the partners can work much more closely with the vendors.
No, that's one thing that we have always founded the community, IT Business Owners Group community under, is bringing the vendors and the IT business owners together inside the channel, because I've always felt like if you can get the vendors on board, then, the IT business owners can talk to them about their pain points, talk to them about what they want to see from the vendor. It just always made sense to me. I don't know. So
No, I agree. And for me, it's really interesting now, having seen both sides of that, of the channel. I've been the customer, the MSP, I've been with the
sure.
vendor. And I think a lot of MSPs probably wouldn't believe me when I said it, but we care. We individuals working inside vendors really care about the MSP customers, but quite often communication channels can be quite difficult. And so anything we can do to make it easier to communicate between customers and us vendor people who care, I think that really benefits everyone.
All right. Well, I got a last question for you. We'll tie it
Mm.
up with this. So, out of being an IT business owner yourself and jumping over into the vendor world, which do you like better?
Easily being with a vendor. I would
Okay.
say that I have probably 10% of the stress that I had. Being an MSP owner is really tough.
It can
Yeah,
be.
it
Sure.
can be really tough. I think if I look back to my own MSP business, versus where the market is now, there are so many additional pressures on those businesses that simply weren't there a couple of years ago.
That's
Trying
right.
to find good engineers is incredibly difficult. When I was looking for engineers, it was really easy. We're going through quite high inflation. We've got probably a recession looming. We've got these difficulties with hiring. We've got massive cybersecurity threats going on, and a threat landscape that's ever increasing. So there's a lot to be stressed about as an MSP owner. And
It
I don't have
is.
to worry about any of that shit anymore.
Well, it's really nice though when we have vendors in the channel like yourself who have come from the other side. They understand what we go through every day. So that's really nice. So my hat's off to you. Thanks so much. So,
Cool. Well,
well,
thanks very much for having me.
yeah.
If anyone wants to know more about Zomentum, obviously they can book a demo via zomentum.com.
Okay.
If anyone's got wants to get in touch with someone involved with product and solutions, feel free to reach out to me directly, ben@zomentum.com. Otherwise, floating around at various UK, EU, US events. If you see me, come say hi.
Yep. Or hit me up and I'll get you in touch with Ben and the team. So
Yeah, absolutely.
sounds great. Well, Ben, thanks again. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure having these with you and your team. So we will get the next one scheduled.
Brilliant. Thanks very
Sounds
much, Scott.
good. No problem. You enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Ben.
Cheers.
See
Bye.
you. Bye bye.